Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another great episode of Oh Brother the Podcast. And I'm, of course, your host, Coop. And I'm a little more energetic this week because I know that we are now one bad loss away of finally getting rid of this ain't shit coach in Raheem Morris in Atlanta. Let's talk about it today, folks. We got absolutely annihilated by a team that shouldn't even have been competitive with us in the Carolina Panthers. A lot of our fan base was on Twitter and online bragging about how we were just about to come into Carolina and absolutely steamroll this team. And when in fact we were actually the team that got steamrolled. To be honest, I didn't think we were going to do much when we come to start this game. I thought the Panthers were going to keep it close the entire time, and I thought that they we're going to at least cover the 5.5 points. That just seemed like it was easy to me coming off how we just lost the previous week. And I know you guys been looking out for me, and I appreciate the concern. Just been a little sick last week with all the fall allergies and this little cold that's going around. So I hope everybody's out there washing their hands, taking their vitamins and allergy medicine, and making sure they're good. Just a little nasally still left in my voice. So I do apologize for that. But back on topic, man, this Falcons team, how do you not score three? You don't even get a field goal in the NFL, man. That's really hard to do these days, especially, in the NFL where the competition is just so, it's so tight. It's so strenuous and it's so close. It's like it's hard for me to fathom that a professional football team, especially with the talent and the offensive firepower that a team like the Atlanta Falcons have, that which everybody predicted it could be a Super Bowl contender if the defense is right. So the defense is okay, but we're still not together offensively for whatever reason. It just seems like our time management has been wasted because we had another drive leading into the halftime where we couldn't compromise and get points. We're wasting timeouts because we cannot get the play in on time. Why is that? I mean, we're coming out of a timeout and then we get a delay of game for the next play call. You just had a timeout to discuss what we're about to run and why we're running it. You don't even need to huddle. Just go out there and run it. We literally just talked about it. So why I don't understand why we still can't get the plays on time. Subsequently, it was announced today that Raheem Morris announced that Zach Robinson, our offensive coordinator, will be moving down to the field now for whatever the hell that makes. I mean, what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter to me if you're in the booth or down on the field. You're calling shit plays. We should not be running so much out of the pistol formation. This is not 1987. This isn't SMU, man. We need to be running shotgun or something out of the play action I formation. We have one of the elite running backs in the NFL, and yet we keep running this pistol zone stretch play every time we need a good run play. It obviously is a key base play in our playbook, but like everybody knows it at this point in time, and we're only 3 weeks into the season. Every time Algier comes into the game, they know a short yards running play is coming. There's no play action, there's no run, there's no sneak passes off of it. Raheem Morris is supposed to be a defensive guy, and yet this defense is still not right. I understand we have a lot of rookies. We have a lot of young guys that's playing on defense, and we thought it all come together when we were beating up on second start J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings when they had guys out on their defense. And we just thought like the tide had turned. We got 6 sacks in the game, and oh, Lord, praise Jesus. The defense is finally right. No, it's not right. We have compromised on our picks. They still need to be coached up, and they still got to get to the quarterback on a regular basis, man. I mean, it's been horrible coaching all around. It's frustration mounting, and I just know that the Raheem Morris hire was not the right hire, and we showed that last year when we played the Commanders, and we got him again this week coming up. Thankfully, the game is back in Atlanta. We can compromise, slow down, get a little bit of home cooking, some rest, and hopefully move on from there, man. Because I tell you what, if we lay another egg and have a bad loss to the Commanders, Raheem Morris does not need to make it to Monday. Fire him and the whole staff right there in the locker room because it has been abysmal. You cannot lose like that. Matter of fact, that's going to be the theme of the video. You cannot lose like that in the NFL and just get skunked, not even attempt to put up a point. I understand we got a new field goal kicker in Parker Romo. Again, we should not have just kicked Younghoe Koo to the side after one bad week and just automatically assume that this guy is ready to go. It should be the competition week to week. I understand that you didn't want to use a whole roster spot for a kicker. But if we're going week to week, it has to be essential that we have the best guy out there for us. And this week, it was not Parker Romo. It probably was Younghoe Koo. But we were so confident in a guy that we just brought out off the street and made 5 field goals that we just automatically decided that he was the guy. Again, coach, we didn't make it past the 30-yard line, our opponent's 30-yard line this entire game. We had 0 red zone trips? 0? That is absolutely diabolical, man. And again, we're sitting in this stupid ass pistol set. The only pistol I want to see next week is the pistol that I hand to Raheem Morris to shoot me in the face for having to watch this coaching debacle. I'm so sick of it, man. I mean, it makes me really want to just, you know what? Hold on. I want to light this shit on fire. All of the gear that I got, I want to light it on fire. I want to denounce this team as how bad they freaking played today. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. You just cannot lose like that in the NFL. You can't do it. It's going to cost people jobs and money. Defense and special teams showed out this week. I think a lot of people, maybe in the higher ups in the NFL would like to take the special teams and the kicking aspect out of football. Obviously, you cannot after this week. Special teams and defense won teams a lot of games, including Seattle, Cleveland. Who else won on Philadelphia blocked 2 kicks today and subsequently won their game against the Rams. Let's talk about that. Philly won 33-26, blocked 2 field goals, game-winning field goal, and was returned at the end by Big Jordan Davis, man. Philly is good. Jalen Hurts is good. But I will say this. I think I'm starting to realize that he's probably not an elite quarterback. Why, you say? I think I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid that he is probably a product of the environment around him. 2 elite wide receivers, the best offensive line in the NFL. And then you had a top 5, maybe top 3 running back to go along with it. When guys are trying to stop your main guy, which is what the Rams did for the most part in Saquon Barkley this week, the team needs to rely on you as the quarterback to make some more plays down the field. Now, finally, they did get A.J. Brown involved. Smith was also involved heavily early on, but they got A.J. Brown going late in the second half. And he just showed his, size and athleticism and that he still can beat one-on-one coverages every time. So I don't understand why they don't use him more, especially when it comes to certain games and aspects and secondaries. It just seems like, if we can just run the ball and get a win that way, and it's all about how they win the game. And the Eagles are starting to remind me of the Chiefs of late because they're not winning games in the typical fashion where they was just killing you over the top with the pass and the big explosive run plays. They're just chipping away, playing the possession game, trying to win ball games. And it's working because they have the elite talent to do that, and they don't have to just hammer one go-to guy or 2 go-to guys, every drive or every play to squeak out a victory. They have multiple ways of winning, and Jalen Hurts is a huge factor in that. So when it comes to reading defenses, sending pressure, sending the line one way to run the other way, I don't see him doing. He's not picking up blitzes. You know what I'm saying? There's other ways to determine, good quarterback play. And I think pre-snap is where Jalen Hurts struggles the most. And we saw that when the Los Angeles Rams blitzed a lot at Jalen Hurts this week. First of all, they were sitting trying to stop Barkley, and they did a good job because they were hunting down run first. They stopped. And then once they got him into passing situations, they sent blitzes, not just traditional blitzes, safety blitzes, corner blitzes, and Hurts had a tough time reading it and picking it up. So I say all that to say, if I put Michael Penix, who's Atlanta's quarterback right now, into this Philadelphia Eagles offense, I still think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender. Now, subsequently, if I put Jalen Hurts into Atlanta offense, they still pretty much look like the same team. You know what I'm saying? So if you have an elite quarterback, the talent elevates everyone around him. And I don't believe Jalen Hurts is of that talent yet, or at least he hasn't shown to be so. So yeah, the Rams, they got to work on special teams. You can't give up 2 blocked field goals to end the way. You just can't lose like that in the NFL, man. So I know special teams is going to be on the docket for a lot of teams this week in practice. And that's going to be trying to block the kicks and protecting your kicker so he can get that game-winning field goal off. I know that's going to be on the docket for a lot of teams this week. Speaking of which, the Browns also blocked a kick to beat the Packers. They with a nice, great comeback victory for the Browns. Browns are super tough, man. They may have the best defense in the NFL right now. Myles Garrett is elite, and he showed why he got that mega contract this offseason. Denzel Ward on the outside is amazing as well. It's just the offense has never matched the defense in Cleveland. It's been horrible quarterback play, turnovers, and long fields for this team all season. And it's tough to win ball games in NFL when you're so inept on one side of the ball. When they can control the game, establish the run, get a little something over the top with Jerry Jeudy and others, it can be an efficient offense. The Browns really got to Jordan Love with only 4 rushers. So they were able to drop 8 man and just actually sit on these elite wide receiver twos, nobody that has an elite skill set to beat some of these good Browns defenders over the top or just shake open for Jordan Love. So it was a lot of just waiting and holding. And then plus they were getting there quicker, than your average rushers by only rushing 4. So Jordan Love was in hell. And then he can be pressured once he sees that, he can be pressured into throwing some dumb picks, and which the Browns did, late in this game. So I commend their defense, man, because it keeps them in games all the time until the very end in the fourth quarter. And they just really need the offense to be competent some games for them to win it. Because it's like if they can get takeaways or a pick six, it might be over from that. From the Browns, if they just help out this offense just a little bit and get a score. They need, if they can start compromising on some of these field advantage and get 6 points instead of 3, the Browns may be a scary team come December. And we all saw it in prime time. The Bears came to play, man, and beat up on Dallas in the 4 o'clock window, 31-14. Caleb Williams looked like the Caleb Williams #1 overall draft pick that the Bears fans wanted to see. This Dallas secondary is chopped cheese, man. They are not good. They like to sit on routes and try to jump routes and create turnovers that way. And offensive coordinators are honing in on that, and they're getting absolutely smoked over the top. Trayvon Diggs and Bland sit on certain routes, man, try to pick them off. They have good hands, receiver-like hands, I would say. But subsequently, they're getting beat on double moves over the top. And we saw that a lot this week, considering the flea flicker and the first touchdown that Diggs gave up to Roma Tuesday. Not looking good right now for this Dallas secondary. It's going to be hard for them to keep up with no CeeDee Lamb for 3 to 4 weeks, possibly moving forward. So Pickens has got to step up big time. I know the tight end got a lot of work afterwards. And then it's going to be a lot of Tolbert and the other guy that whose name is escaping me, have receiver going forward. Dak is good. They're going to have to lean on Dak, and he's going to earn his pay this year. It's going to be a lot of shootouts for Dallas moving forward, and hopefully they can get on the right side of these shootouts because it's looking bad right now in their secondary because they can't stop a cold. It is what it is, man. Shout out to the Bear, and also in Arizona. Arizona was a close game. I know Kyler Murray is getting frustrated with some of these guys out here because it seems like when I watch the film, he doesn't trust his pass catchers, unfortunately. When there's, design play calls to go for Marvin Harrison, I feel like he just doesn't even look his way to as the first read. And after yesterday's game with those two huge wide open drops that he had, it's certainly not in the wrong for people to start ringing the bust bell, because he had a decent 1,000-yard receiving year as a rookie, but it's not looking like the elite talent that we saw at Ohio State. For some reason, mentally, the hands and the mind are not there, because when he runs routes, he's fluid. He gets open, but again, sometimes Kyler Murray just doesn't even want to look his way. And then when they do throw to like guys like McBride, it seems like it's the play is called for him, and that's the only reason that he is throwing to him. In my opinion, that's what it looks like with Kyler Murray. He seems a lot more comfortable handing the ball off to Connor or checking it down to Connor than to throwing 20 or 20 yards, 15, 20 yards down the field or more to one of these pass catching options. I mean, even in the red zone, sometimes I feel like he likes Michael Wilson more than a guy like Marvin Harris. Again, unless the play call comes in and is designed for him, I don't see him looking his way even as a second option. So they could have produced more in this game, but it was a bunch of key plays. Like I said, they had a few drop passes, penalties. A lot of this Cardinals team, I'm going to chalk it up to coaching, because it doesn't seem like they're coming in with the will to win. They have the guys and the pieces, but I don't know if they have a strenuous enough coaching staff to get these guys to lock in and have them reach their full potential, because this is a roster that should be performing much better than what they're doing. Arizona should be a lot better. Granted, Niners are having an elite roster themselves, but they should not be, winning these type of games with all that they have out on the IR. They have, it just the quarterback, Brock Purdy's down. Hasn't played yet. Kittle went down in the first game. Trent Williams has been out. Debo is gone. This is a team that should not be keeping up, per se, with some of these teams, but yet they are, because of the coaching and Kyle Shanahan. And also a dynamic play caller. Down the stretch, when I saw that they were, second down, last drive, approaching field goal range, they're sending 5. I get it. You want to put some pressure on the backup quarterback, Mac Jones. Okay, secondary is playing 6, 7 yards off the ball, and you're 10 yards away from field goal range. And all that Kyle Shanahan does is just sends the screen to McCaffrey behind the blitz, 15-yard easy pickup, and now we're just going to play the hash game and get it on the hash to where our kicker wants it the most. Ball game, easy field goal to win the game. Coaching, man. Coaching. Bad play calls in key moments will lead to losses as well. You can't lose games like that. And to reiterate that, your Baltimore Ravens always find a way to lose big games. They just find a way. My dad said it before the game started. Unfortunately, Derrick Henry came away with another key turnover, fumbled, which allowed the Lions to therefore close the game out against the Ravens last night. The Ravens, who played well, didn't play well enough defensively. They cannot stop the run right now at all. They've been giving up a bunch of yards on the ground. And I didn't hear a lot of the announcer last night calling out some of the big key names on this defensive front. Not a lot of plays. I didn't hear Roquan Smith's name get called. I didn't hear Kyle Hamilton's name get called. Just, these are your key guys that need to make key plays on defense, and they just were not doing it. So I think the Ravens might be messed up mentally because of how their season ended last year, and it may be rolling over and snowballing subsequently a little bit into this year. I was hoping they was going to get it together, but I think mentally some of the key players outside of Lamar Jackson may just be crushed mentally. Now, granted, we did see Andrews come back and have a big performance but he typically starts season slow, so this was kind of his breakout game. Derrick Henry's always a beast and a man amongst boys sometimes, but he's struggling with ball security. The first 21 games with the Ravens, 700 plus snaps, he only had one lost forced fumble, but in the last 3 games, he's had 2. Unfortunately, man, that's got to get cleaned up because down the stretch, it has to be made an emphasis by either the coaching staff or Lamar Jackson himself that these turnovers are killing us, guys. We have to close games. Because this is such a high-powered, fast offense, they can score in bunches, but subsequently the defense has been giving up scores in bunches. So when you get into shootouts like this, you have to execute to the highest degree in those last 2 to 3 possessions in the fourth quarter to close games out. And that just has not been the point of emphasis by this Ravens coaching staff for whatever reason. And I think once they get that in order, get this, we can't beat the big teams, this mindset and momentum out of their head, once they figure that out, I think this team can easily win a Super Bowl this year. But for whatever reason, mentally, they are already destroyed when it comes to them playing against some of the more elite teams in the NFL. And then they just seem to fold or make that key play or not make that key play down the stretch to beat these elite teams. And you just can't lose games like that in the NFL. It's absolutely devastating, man. So I know there was some big plays this week, man. A lot defense and special teams showed out. So we cannot get rid of special teams. I kind of like the new kickoff. I kind of don't. I'm kind of 50-50 still, only because we're getting more returns. We're getting the exciting runs. But every drive is starting at the 30, 35-yard line. So we're not seeing the stats, the individual stats put up that we're normally used to seeing. We're not getting we're not getting a lot of 100-yard games, 100-yard receiving games, 100-yard rushing games. These guys they're breaking big plays. Obviously, that's how you rack up the yards quickly. But, those subsequent just steady drives that help build up those passing yards and those rushing yards and those receiving yards for certain players just doesn't seem to be stacking up because the kickoff is leading to an advantage in field position. So you guys let me know in the comments how the field position game has changed and if you're liking this new kickoff. Let me know who you're a fan of and who we can talk about next. But I know we're going to be talking about a lot of the close games and a lot of the just the highlighted stuff that's been going on from week to week. Big news today. Also, we get Jackson Dart, who will be starting now for the New York Football Giants. I know some of the New York fans are extremely excited about that. I know that Russell Wilson was tiresome, very tiresome, and not an easy watch most weeks when it comes to a decent defense. If he can't get that pass off moon ball down the sideline, he's really nothing. It's just dump down and slant and whatever little stuff I can get over the middle, man. It's a tough watch most weeks with Russell Wilson. So I see why they went to Dart now because, they're 0-3. I don't think the ball is going to be fired this year, because they're still waiting on this draft class to kind of make some noise. And the main part is that the quarterback in Jackson Dart. So I think that he will be okay moving forward. He did pretty well in the preseason, had a high completion percentage. He showed out a little bit and got the fans excited, rightfully so. And we're going to see what he can do. But the Giants literally have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL this year. And they have another tough game coming up this week in the Chargers. Harbaugh has been excellent this year, and so is Justin Herbert. I'm gonna try to get Owen here next week. Even if it's not physically recording with me, he can record himself. But I do want to take on his really accurate MVP prediction right now when it comes to Justin Herbert. So I do want to see some additional thoughts from him going forward, and what you guys think who should be MVP quarter of the season way, whatever we're coming up on, and and what you're excited for moving forward. I know that a lot of teams are looking bad, and a lot of them are surprising you as well. Decent games that we're looking forward to coming up next week. Thursday night, we've got Seattle and Arizona. It's another tough divisional matchup, and I know Kyler Murray is itching to get back out there, man, to get a good win. They're 2-1, moving against the 2-1 Seattle Seahawks. We got Falcons Commanders also next week. Eagles Bucks. That'll be a good one. Lions and Browns. So you got the great offensive firepower of the Lions that has not diminished like me and many other people thought was going to diminish with Ben Johnson leaving. It has not diminished just yet. It still has the firepower. It still have Gibbs. They're still rolling with Amon Ra and Williams and Montgomery. They're still looking like the powerhouse offense that they were last year, even with some trick plays that they got off this week. We got Colts and Rams. That ought to be a good one. The Bears going against the Raiders. And then the game of the week at the 4 o'clock window is going to be Ravens and Chiefs. That ought to be an exciting matchup for sure. And then you got the return of Michael Parsons going into Dallas on Sunday Night Football, Packers and Cowboys. That will be a really good game as well. It might be a blowout or it might be another shootout for Dallas. Hopefully, I don't know. I want to see how this secondary fares against some of these elite receiver twos that they got in Green Bay. And that pass rush is going to be relentless with Michael Parsons. I know he's going to be hungry to get Dak on the ground once, if not a few times, in Dallas next week. And then Dolphins and Jets is going to be a decent game on Monday night as well. And then we got a doubleheader as well. And Broncos and Bengals, that game was looking a lot better pre-Joe Burrow injury. Bengals got absolutely annihilated this week. They weren't competitive at all. The defense for the Minnesota Vikings, essentially put them away this week. So it's going to be another exciting week of football. I can't wait for some of these games, man. It's going to be great. Do we get another defensive special teams outing next week? I don't think so. I think the offense gets a boost next week, and hopefully we can start seeing some overs and some offense coming out of these games. A lot of unders have been hitting so far this year, and it a little bit surprising considering what I was talking about with the field position game and the kickoffs. So I don't know. You let me know, you guys, what you think. You're going to be some scoring this week, or we can get much more of the same. You guys tell me what you like, what you don't like, and I'll leave you to it for another great episode of Oh Brother the Podcast. We'll catch you next week, guys. Peace.